So can you do that? Please welcome Claudia Burnett.
Hello. Can't actually see what I've written. Hi, my name's Claudia, and I am here to talk about house whispering. I hope I don't nerd it out too much, though, because I really love to talk about houses and house whispering. Do you know what it's like to walk down the road and walk down the street or enter a home and hear what the houses are saying to you? I wonder. All I can hear sometimes is, paint me, fix me, clean me. Where's my door gone? Why have you ripped out my insides? That's what I sometimes hear. And I didn't realize that that's what I was hearing. I just had these really strange thoughts when I was walking into the houses. So this is what I'm going to talk about. The beginning, what influenced me subconsciously, random thoughts that I would get, which was where the whispering started, what I would like you to leave with, the tips and tricks. And this is my family home. This is where I grew up, and I had 3 brothers and mother and father living together. So this is my dad, and he's a builder, and he actually built that house. So if I go to the next, this is where we lived, number 71, Black Boy Lane. My dad built that wall, and he put the door in, and he painted the house every couple of years. I didn't know why that he did that, but I'm learning to understand why that is. It's really good if you look out after your homes, because they appreciate you living in them. And the more you do to care for them, the more they will care for you. From here, Black Boy Lane, I moved into this home. And I lived on the 2nd floor. And this is where I was working. I worked for the post office for 17 years. I had a small child. And in this home, I existed rather than lived. And I'll also talk more about that later, because often we go work, home, home, work, work, home, home, work. And we don't really live in the houses that are our homes. And that's what I noticed for myself. And I didn't actually realize that until I left London. I lived in London, I lived in North London, and I lived there in Haringey for most of my adult life until I left. And my childhood life, what am I talking about? This is my next home. This is Springfield Road. And again, I existed here. I didn't really live. However, I worked for the post office for 17 years. And while I was working for the post office, I started to get a bit bored and decided to leave. I resigned. And when I resigned, that's when I realized that I'd never really lived in the houses that I had occupied. I basically just existed doing general things, doing things that people do, working and going home, eating, and not really living in the house and being really with the house. So that is 34 Springfield Road. The first one was 71 Black Boy Lane. And if you notice, 3 and 4 also adds up to 7. There's a lot of 7s that come up in my experience of where I lived. This is the house, the next house that I'm going to talk about. This is when I left London. I'd given up my job at the post office, and I wanted to know what it was like living somewhere else, because I'd been in the same borough of Haringey for 35 years. So I moved to 7 Magellan Way. Again, notice the number. And this is where I noticed really random thoughts happening. The couple that I lived with, they had a small child and a dog. And the dog was the reason why I came to live at this property, because what happened was I was living in London, I gave up my job, and I couldn't pay my mortgage. So I had to find a way to bring some money in. So what I did was I rented out my house. While I was renting out my house, I was looking for somewhere to live. And I really wanted to live by the sea, but I didn't know how I would do that. So I looked on spareroom.com, and at the list of loads of places which said Brighton, because that's where I really wanted to live, it said Eastbourne lived by the sea. I went on there, I had a look, and the first thing the lady said was that she had a West Highland Terrier. And I had been meditating at the time, and during my meditation, I kept seeing a West Highland Terrier, so I decided that was a cue for me. That was like a little, hello, this is maybe where you're meant to be. So I went to see the house. And when I went to see the house, this was the view from the bedroom window. I could see the sea. You could just about see the sea on here, but that is the sea. That faded line going across there is the sea. And I thought, great. At the time, I didn't have all the money. Okay, let me start again. She had 2 rooms. One was a single, the other one was a double. I didn't have the money for the double, but the single had just gone. When I was leaving, I told her, I didn't say what the problem was, and she said, is it your budget? And I said, yes. She said, well, I give you the double for the price of the single. I said, okay. And then I thought, actually, I don't even have all the money for the deposit. And she said, okay, you can pay me half now and half later. So in my mind, I don't know whether the house was calling me or I was just lucky, but I thought, I think I'm actually meant to be here. So this is where I ended up living. So let me just go back to that one. So while I was there, the family that lived there, they fell out and they had to sell the house. As soon as I was told that they had to sell the house, I got instantly, and I don't know where the words came from, and for me, it was just a random thought. I heard, it's not going to take long for this house to sell. So I gave in my notice, and the landlady said to me, you don't need to give your notice in just yet. It's going to take a while. I found myself saying, if you don't find a buyer by August, this was April, if you don't find a buyer by August, you'll be moving out by August. She said, no, it's not going to be that quickly. And I said, I actually walked away thinking, why did I say that? I have no idea what I'm talking about. So what happened was I moved out. I didn't really know where I was going, so I went to stay with my mum. And within that time, I put some things in her loft. I came back in August, and when I came back in August to pick my stuff up, she was moving out. She was really surprised that it happened that quickly. The thing is that when she put it up for sale and people came to look at it, the house had already told me, although I didn't realize it was telling me. I just heard from the house, or in a random thought in my head, this house, I want a family. This house would be good for a family. When the first people came to look at the house, it was an older couple. And I heard quite clearly, randomly, it's not them. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't say anything of it. I didn't share anything with anybody. The next couple of days, an older woman and a younger lady came. And I heard again, really quite clearly, it's them. Again, I didn't think anything of it. I thought I was just having a random thought in my head. And then within 3 hours, my landlady called me and said, the couple that came, they've just put in an offer for the full asking price, and I've accepted it. And that's when I realized, okay. And then she still said to me, you don't have to move out just yet. And I said, I didn't even respond to that. I kind of just didn't say anything. And that's when I came back in August and she was moving out. So that's one of my stories. So from there, with my lovely view, I ended up going to 2 other houses. And when I went to view the rooms, I said to the first house, when I move in, if I move in, your house is going to sell. And she said, well, don't worry about that. I've taken it off the market. And I said, that's not going to matter. When someone came to look at the house. I knew exactly who wanted to buy it. I had a feeling. I didn't know I would have that feeling, but the person then put an offer in. Again, that one went through really quickly, and she had this big mahogany sleigh bed. And I had said to her, when you move out, can you sell me the bed? And because everything went through really quickly, she gave me the bed. And when I looked it up online, it cost about $2,000. And I was just like, well, that's a bit of payment for me. I didn't ask for any payment. I just said that I would buy the bed, and because it went through so quickly, she gave me the bed. So, and then I moved to Brighton, which is where I really wanted to live. And again, I walked in and I said to the lady, if I move in, your house will sell. She said to me, great, I want to sell it. And again, for some unknown reason, when people came to look at it, I knew who wanted to buy it. And those people are still living in that house now. So one of the things that I want to share with you is that wherever you're living, whether you love it or not, find something in it that you love and show it appreciation. Show the house appreciation. Show your environment appreciation. So I've taken some photos of houses that I've loved around Hastings, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that no one's actually living in these houses, because I don't know whether it's against the law to take a picture of someone's house. I'm hoping it's not. But I love these because this house on the left is, the colour is amazing. So what I invite people to do, before you decorate, ask your house what colour it wants to be painted. And you might not get the house actually talking to you out loud, but you might get a feeling. And it's really important because the house wants to be included. Everything is energy, and even the inanimate objects, it's just energy moving at such a fast pace that you can actually feel it. But you can actually contribute to your house, and your house can contribute to you. So these are two houses that I've really loved, and I've taken photographs of it. There's a few. This is another one, another two. Sometimes I might love the colour door, sometimes I might love the way it's decorated. You know, I've often walked down a road and I can hear, it's like the house is telling me, I want to be painted, I need to be decorated, I need to be cared for. That's one of the things that my dad used to do. He used to come round and paint my house every day. So I'm going to go back to my house. This is my house, and my dad painted that. This is not when I used to live in it, because again, he would be horrified that if you get up closer, you can see some bits and pieces that are not looking great. And he would make sure that he cared for the outside of the house. For him, he was just doing what builders do: painting, decorating, fixing. So these are the houses that I love. And this is my house. And within my house, what I like to encourage people to do, to ask your space how it wants to look. When I moved in here, I think the walls were blue, and I made sure I lived in my house. Where I used to exist, I now live, and so I made sure that I lived in my house for a year before I did anything to it. Luckily, I could do that, and the first thing the house told me that it wanted was to have the walls painted white. I didn't want to do that because the doors are white, and I was just like, but that's a lot of white, and I hadn't done anything else to the house. But I followed that direction, and then I was just like, everything's really white. I need to bring some of myself in. As you can see, I love colour. So what I did was I painted every single door a different colour. And I can feel from the house that it really loves that. It's full of joy. It's full of excitement. This is another picture of my house. This is the kitchen. I've got a really bright, and one of the things that I've asked for when I was looking for somewhere to live was, there was three things: somewhere light and bright, and the two most important things was a lovely place to live and an easy way to make money. And I've got rooms that I can actually rent out. So I don't know whether I got connected to the house because of what I said, or the house called me, but as soon as I walked through the door, I knew that this was the house that I wanted to live in. Dress your home to ignite your joy. I'm missing a word there, sorry about that. Dress your home to ignite your joy. The things you have in your home should fill you with a lot of joy. Because when you then walk into your house, you have that energy, and then the house can feel that, and then know it's also loved by you. Let the light in. Make sure that you've got spaces that are full of light. This morning when I woke up, it was really interesting because I'm sleeping in a bedroom that is not one I usually sleep in. However, I've been sleeping in it for a couple of months because my bedroom is really messy, and I'll get to that later. So I'm sleeping in the bedroom, and for the first time, the sun comes in on the other side of the house where my bedroom is. And for the first time, I could see the sunlight in the room, which is at the front of the house, which no light should come through there. And what I noticed was, which is really surprising to me, that the sunlight was shining on the window of the house opposite me, which then shone that light into my home. And it was like, it's really interesting that I'm going to talk about houses, and this house is showing me how this is my interpretation. You don't have to believe it. It's my interpretation that the house was showing me how grateful it was because there was light on both windows. So let the light in as much as you can. Open windows, open the doors. If there's a door at the top of one of my stairs, there was a door that didn't have any window in it, and it was a really dark space. And I made sure that I got my dad to put a door in to make sure that with windows in it, so that light could shine light where there was none. So let the light in. There's lots and lots to see and appreciate in this town, and sometimes we walk around thinking that things are mundane, or you might see people on the street that you might find a little bit upsetting. But however, there are other things that you could pay attention to and allow yourself to appreciate, which will then show your environment that you appreciate it, the houses that you're walking past appreciated. So allow yourself to acknowledge the seemingly mundane. Wonder about your environment. Take a trip down a road that you don't normally walk down. Just go for a walk and wander where all over the town, because there is so much to see in Hastings. So, things I would like you to take away. I might use the little clicky thing, sorry. Yeah, that works. So, appreciation for where you live, and awareness that everything is energy and can be influenced by you. A way to communicate with your house. You can ask me about that later. However, all you need to do is communicate with your house. Talk to it like it's a person. The grace to I'm not sure what I wrote there. The grace to your home. Know that you are going to renovate. Letting the house know. Thank you, whoever that was. Letting the house know that what you're going to do to it. And it's just as simple as saying, this is what I'm going to do. It's a way of preparing the house. There's a lot of people start tearing down walls, painting, decorating, and the houses will often, or maybe not that often, but things won't go the way you want them to go. And it's because you really haven't asked permission, or you haven't let the house know what is going to happen to it. The other things that I wanted to say was, like I spoke about my messy house, my messy room, and one of the things that I've realised actually from doing this Bavard and writing the things that I want to share was realising that sometimes a messy house, it could be that you're in a low mood. It could be that you're feeling overwhelmed. It could be that there are things that you are not dealing with. And that's why your house is messy. Your house may be feeling the turmoil of what's happening within you that you're not acknowledging. My thoughts around drippy taps and leaks, there's an emotional overload within the person that lives there. Your house will always reflect you. Condensation on the walls, there's a suppression or feeling suppressed, or there's a suppression, or you're suppressing something. So I wanted to, this is my family home from the aerial view, and I wanted to put that there because in my opinion, and it might sound random and really weird, but I believe houses are like trees. There's a mycelium, is that the right word? I'm not quite sure, where they're all connected with each other. I believe that you can actually, if you're in a home and you want to move and you want to find a new home and you can't do that, you can ask your current home to help you find one. It might sound random, but I'd love you to try it. And that's the end of my talk.
Wasn't that great? Claudia Burnett, everybody.